Planned Parenthood on trial. Abortion providers took the stand in Texas earlier this month in a closely watched case that centers around the state's dismemberment abortion ban. Texas passed the dismemberment abortion ban earlier this year. It outlaws the abortion procedure that involves tearing a fully formed child apart limb by limb before removing the child from the mother's womb. It's often called dilation and evacuation, or a D&E abortion. After the measure was signed into law, the Center for Reproductive Rights and Planned Parenthood filed a lawsuit to challenge it, and Judge Lee Yeakel heard arguments in early November. In the trial, abortion providers disclosed how they performed these abortions, and their testimony was on the record. Ken Paxton is the Texas Attorney General and the defendant in the case Whole Woman's Health versus Paxton. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
First off, this case is all about the abortion industry going after Texas's dismemberment abortion ban. Tell us what that law prevents exactly.
So the legislature this past session, back in May, I believe, passed a bill basically banning dismemberment of babies. Obviously, this is a horrible subject to have to talk about. All the legislature was saying is, we treat animals a certain way, we treat criminals a certain way. We got to at least have the decency to treat a baby that's going to be aborted in a certain way, which is to make sure that they don't have to suffer this horrible procedure.
The trial wrapped up earlier this month. We don't have a ruling yet, but why was this case so important?
Well, it's important because the Texas legislature and the people of Texas have a right to protect the unborn and to make sure that they're treated humanely with dignity. And obviously, they're killing these babies, but if you're going to do that, if it's going to be allowed up to 20 weeks, then we want it done in the most humane way that can be done. And right now, this dismemberment of babies, the trial showed it's just an incredibly gruesome, horrific process.
Absolutely. This case has factual record. So that means everything that was said on trial, there's record of it. Why is this so important, and how can the pro-life movement use this?
So we'd always, in the past, the cases had been more about procedure, and no one had actually gotten Planned Parenthood in these groups in a trial where they actually had to disclose and defend what they were doing. And so, a 5-day trial, you can ask a lot of questions of their doctors about what they're doing, and then our experts providing more information about what they're doing. We made them describe, bit by bit, word by word, exactly the horrible process of dismembering these babies and just how brutal it is.
So then we can use that as a reference and refer back to that as proof. Exactly.
So we wanted that, so depending on how it goes at the trial court, we can at least take that record up, and it's evidence for future cases.
Abortion advocates repeat the line, dismemberment abortions are safe and common, safe and common. How do you respond to that?
I say, when you sit in trial and you listen to what happens to these babies, these unborn babies, it's not so safe for them. It's not so, it's it's got to be a very traumatic experience for these babies when their body parts are just being ripped apart.
So once again, this ban wouldn't ban all abortions. It's just specifically this one procedure, and the abortion industry took you to court over it.
That's exactly right. They wanted no regulations. They don't want any restrictions on how they do it, despite the fact that, it's just this awful procedure. And frankly, they know it because they hide it with, other words that try to hide exactly what they're doing.
Why do you think they are so adamant about being able to continue on with this specific dismemberment abortion?
I think it's easy for them. It's just an easier process for them, and they just don't like the idea of any restrictions at all. And so, they've been given favorable treatment by the courts in the past, and I think they thought, why shouldn't we try to get favorable treatment again?
We're speaking about how this would prevent this inhumane procedure, but we believe that all of abortion is inhumane. So why is this ban a good step for the pro-life movement?
So obviously, I'm pro-life either way. I don't like any abortions occurring, but given the fact that abortions are legal up to 20 weeks in Texas, we banned them after 20 weeks, which that ban is stuck. We did that a few years ago. Given the fact that you can legally get an abortion up to 20 weeks, which no matter how it's done, obviously, I would view it as killing a baby. Since we can't restrict it from happening, we want to at least make it the most humane process we can. And instead of destroying the baby bit by bit, there are other more humane ways to do an abortion prior to 20 weeks.
How significant, from your perspective, how significant is this case, and could a precedent be set here?
Well, I think it's a precedent for the whole country because there have been other cases that have been decided on procedural grounds in other states where they've lost. There's a few other states where there has been no challenge. Ours would actually be the first case where we'd actually gotten the evidence into a trial about what is actually happening, and let the world see, and let's make a decision about this based on the facts and based on what this industry is actually doing.
Ken Paxton, Texas Attorney General, thank you for being here.
Glad to do it. Thank you.